Hey guys, in today's episode, I'm back here behind the house on the home farm. I'm actually sitting in a small patch of timber in between the food plot and the hill that leads down to a pond that we just dug and then leads back behind the house. We are about 2.5, 3 acres behind the house at this point. There's a nice bowl that goes behind the house where the pond we just dug, hasn't even filled up with water yet, is located. And in the process, we took a lot of trees out. It's something that my family and I have always wanted is a pond for recreational use. And we were able to make that happen this winter. And in doing so, because of the fact that it was all woods, we ended up having to take a lot of trees out. We're going to be able to use the trees for firewood for years to come. But what we did was we opened up a lot of the woods. And in doing so, we have now opened up visually more opportunity for the deer to see us and for us to see them, which isn't necessarily what I wanted. If the deer are down at the pond, that's cool. I'd like to see that, especially in the summer times. But during the hunting season, I want the deer from this hill on back to feel safe. We've got good daylight activity generally that runs through here during the hunting season. And we are maybe about an acre away from my main food plot. I'd say we're in a straight line 75, 80 yards from where it starts. And there's about an acre patch of timber in between where this hill goes down to the pond and the edge of the food plot. We got ATV trails. The kids like to ride ATVs around. We use them for access for recreational use like hunting. And I'm going to come in here today and I'm going to drop some trees laterally, which would be east and west, to help and screen off this edge of the woods from now the house, the pond area, now that we've opened this up. So you'll notice today I'll be knocking a bunch of trees down. Some of the smaller trees I might end up doing some hinge cutting, but that's not really the point. I'm not trying to make any kind of bedding. All I'm trying to do is allow more canopy removal, so that way we have more sunlight hitting the floor. We can get more woody browse and regeneration down low, more briars. We're looking for a lot of cover that's 4 and 5 feet tall and lower. So then that way these deer feel safer walking back here near the food plot and transition areas in between the food plot during daylight hours in hunting season when there's no leaves on the trees for cover. So just want to show you this. We got a neat situation going on here. I'm going to get the camera off the tripod and show you guys a little bit of what I'm talking about, what I'm trying to screen off, and then also show you how we're going to go about doing it. All right, so here's our main trail getting back and forth. We get a lot of firewood back here every year. I've got a trail big enough I can drive a truck down it, no problem. Goes 3/4 of the way back through the woods. But we've opened up a lot. There where you can see the boat with the white wrapping on it. That's going to be our new pole barn location once that pad settles, probably next year. But this is the backyard through there. You can see the house pretty good. It is you know, not quite spring yet. There's not any leaves. But it's kind of showing you what I'm doing to screen this off from the house over the next few years. As you can see in front of me, there is 3 Norway spruce planted. There's a 3rd one right there above my fingertip. When we took the trees out of the pond, a bunch of the stumps got burned. The ones that didn't burn, I actually lined them up along this hill as a instant screen. Yeah, these will decompose over time and get smaller, but it's going to take a long time for that to actually happen. I have a row of Norways, in some spots 2 rows wide of Norway all the way across this ridge from that cornfield over there all the way along through here towards that trail. And you can see somewhat of the pond from right here, but I'm up here on a high point, and it makes it pretty easy when the deer are up here to see down below. And so my goal today is to really starting to thicken this up. It may take a year or two for it to thicken up, but I don't think it'll take that long really for it to thicken up. But there's the pond area down below, and you got the tractor out today, and you can see there's I got a lot of Norways planted all the way through here. And then in this patch of timber here, this is that little approximately 1 acre patch through here in between the food plot, which you can't see, and the hill. There's the blind. So the blind is on the edge of the food plot right there. Well, it's about 10 yards off towards the field edge, the ag field. I do have some white pine planted in here as well, and I think by removing some of the canopy, that'll help them grow even better. But either way, this is something I've been wanting to do, and finally got the time to get out here and do it. And I feel like now that we took out more trees with the pond being installed, I think it's definitely necessary that it gets done now. Guys, so as you can see, 20-30 minutes with the chainsaw, and was able to get a lot of work done. Was able to open up a decent amount of this canopy to try and let some of these white pines get some better sunlight. There's a few white pines, and like this guy right here above my finger, and you know, they've been planted for about a year and a half, some 2 years. And I've got them caged off because the deer just want to eat them all. They've outgrown the cages they're in. It's time for bigger cages, and they haven't grown very fast because they've been competing a lot for sunlight. And I think now with some of this canopy removed, they're going to do a little better. I think I'm going to end up doing a little bit more cutting on this here in the next month. I'll probably end up doing some more cutting on it. And I'm also going to do some planting of some sorghum and some Egyptian wheat. It's an annual planting up along the edge of the four-wheeler trail for some additional screening. I'm going to flip the camera around, and I'm going to show you guys a better view of what just took place in about 30 minutes of chainsaw work. So now you can see what it looks like from a deer's point of view. I'm about right here is about the average height of a deer looking through here. It's pretty well screened off now towards the house, and that's with no leaves and with really no woody regeneration getting to the forest floor. There's been so much canopy. Hinge cut a couple junk trees, some mulberries, a couple maples. Not too worried about if they actually live or not. Was just mostly trying to get cover that was around, you know, like I said, 4, 5, 6 feet tall. And I think we were able to do so by knocking some of that down. Some of it will live, even if it's just this first year. You can see nice little tangled up mess right up here at this little corner of the this little strip of woods in between the food plot and the pond and that little ridge. Right where the tractor is at, right there, that'll be Egyptian wheat and grain sorghum planted in a strip right along this ATV trail. You see, drop some of these. That was a big mulberry I dropped there. Also going to plant some Egyptian wheat and grain sorghum in this little patch here. Got the spruce already planted, like I showed you, all the way along this edge. But now I feel like we've got some instant cover. I'll probably come in here and run chainsaw for another 20 or 30 minutes in the next 2+ weeks, 2 to 4 weeks. I'll get that done. And then I'll bring you an updated version on what this looks like at the end of summer, you know, July, August, going into the fall, show you how nice and thick this is for us going into the fall between the pine plantings, the work we just did, the work I'm gonna do, and then the Egyptian wheat / grain sorghum little mix that I'm gonna plant right along the ATV trail. That'll help also. We got about a 3-acre bedding area there on the other side of the tractor between my neighbors and I's. And then we have another about 2.5-acre bedding at the back side of the main food plot. So it kind of does an L shape around the food plot, and that's where a lot of the does do their bedding, and then the bucks bed, you know, 100+ yards back further from the does. But just excited to see what this is going to turn into now that some sunlight's getting in here, help these pine trees grow better and get some more regeneration on the ground. If we have a little bit of bedding in here, it's not going to be the end of the world. We access very smart, and we use the neighbor's ag field, which we have permission, and we access along our eastern side. And so, you know, we don't access the interior of the property. We keep all our stands on the eastern side. We wait for the right wind direction, and we hunt, you know, weather fronts, and we wait for the right wind. And that way we can hunt a small property several times a year, and it typically gets better as the year goes on. We typically gain deer. We got 8.5 acres here, and in December I had a hunt where I seen over 20 some deer. And that's pretty good when it's all mostly wooded and you can't see more than about 125 yards in just about any direction unless you look out into the ag field. And all those deer were in the woods. So excited for what we've got here coming up. Definitely looking forward to bringing it to you guys.